Hollywood was built to sell dreams. Hundreds of thousands of lights, glittering gowns, million-dollar smiles, reporters, flashes, autographs. But once the lights go out, shadows crawl out from beneath the red carpet. The shadows of those whose names once screamed from the billboards and are now forbidden to be spoken. Why did some stars vanish overnight, as if erased with an editing blade from the film reel? Why did their movies disappear from theaters, their photos from archives? And the scariest question, who gave the order to erase them? San Francisco, 1921. The Street Francis Hotel. In the presidential suite, laughter, champagne, stars. Roscoe Arbuckle, known to millions as Fatty. He was the king of silent comedy. America's favorite entertainer. A triumphant hero. A man who made an exhausted nation laugh again after war and depression. That weekend, he was celebrating a new contract, $1 million a year from Paramount Studios. An unthinkable sum at the time. Everything seemed perfect, until morning came. On the floor lay actress Virginia Rapp, 26. 4 days later, she was dead. Doctors whispered about a ruptured bladder. Newspapers screamed about rape and murder. Rumors spread like mold. Champagne bottle, orgy. Actress screamed in pain. The police arrived 12 hours later. Within a day, Arbuckle was arrested. The world exploded. Hollywood pig kills girl for fun, screamed Hearst newspapers. Reporters surrounded the courthouse. Studios tore up contracts. Distributors pulled his films. But the deeper investigators dug, the fewer facts remained. Medical experts disagreed. There was no evidence of assault. Witnesses contradicted each other. The key accuser, Maud Delmont, was known for blackmailing actors. Arbuckle faced 3 trials. 2 juries failed to reach a verdict. The third fully acquitted him. And still, Roscoe Arbuckle ceased to exist. His films were destroyed. His name banned in the press. The word Arbuckle erased from every Paramount catalog. Even his fans refused to speak his name, afraid to be branded immoral. Years later, he tried to return under a pseudonym as a director, writer, actor, but critics ignored him completely. In 1933, he died of a heart attack in a hotel room the very morning he was to sign his first contract in 10 years. Why could a man proven innocent never reclaim his career? The answer lies in fear, Hollywood's fear of losing the public's trust. After his case, studios created their own internal morality police. Thus appeared the fixer's men who handled problems quietly, before they became scandals. Fatty Arbuckle wasn't destroyed by the court. He was crushed by the brand protection machine called Hollywood, a mechanism that has worked flawlessly ever since. When one hero falls, another is pushed into the spotlight. The audience must believe in magic, and dirt must be cleaned instantly. Decades later, researchers found a letter in Paramount's archives from producer Adolph Zukor's associate, Ado Golden. If he's innocent, that's even worse. Then the whole industry is guilty. Perhaps no line ever summed it up better. But one question remains. Why was Arbuckle's case forgotten so quickly? The answer is simple and terrifying. When society forgets a scandal, the industry can repeat it with impunity. After Arbuckle, Hollywood introduced its first official moral code, the Production Code. Every actor signed a clause about conduct off-camera. Studios could cancel any contract if the company's reputation was endangered. So began the era of total control over stars' lives. They no longer belonged to themselves. Every move watched, every party guarded, every smile approved by PR. But along with control came a new art, the art of hiding, buying silence, editing truth, burying stories in archives. And if something leaked, a new scandal was created to erase the old one. Roscoe Arbuckle became the first sacrificial lamb of cinema, but not the last. After him rose a new generation of stars, more cautious, colder, and far more dangerous. They already knew. Hollywood supports you only while you make money. After that, they erase you like a bad scene from an unfinished film. And every time a smile steps onto the red carpet, somewhere beneath the velvet still lies the shadow of Arbuckle, the first man erased for the sake of order. Hollywood learned how to land on its feet. The only question is, whose bones does it break each time it falls? He was the perfect man, the symbol of courage, adventure, and irresistible charm. His posters hung in bedrooms. His smile was copied. His walk became the model of the real man, of the 1,930 seconds and 40 seconds. Errol Flynn, the man who gave the world its most charismatic outlaw, Robin Hood. But in Hollywood, a smile always means less than a whisper behind the curtain. The public adored him. The bosses did not. He was too loud, too independent, too alive for a system built on control. He drank, argued, broke the rules of the production code. Studio fixers worked around the clock to keep his scandals out of the headlines, until one finally broke through. 1,942. In the middle of World War II, when the country needed heroes, newspapers like the Los Angeles Examiner and Daily News exploded with headlines. Robin Hood accused of statutory rape. Two girls, 17 and 18 years old, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley. They claimed Flynn seduced them during a yacht party aboard the Sirocco. Police opened a case. The trial began, and America froze. The nation was shocked. How could their beloved hero turn out to be a monster? Yellow press feasted on every detail. Rumors spread like wildfire. He filmed everything on camera. He wasn't alone. The studio hid the witnesses. Flynn fought back boldly. "I'm no saint, but I'm no criminal either. I just live the way Hollywood lives, honestly." He laughed in the face of fate, played to the crowd, joked with reporters. Each appearance at court looked like a movie premiere. Women screamed, "We believe you, Errol." Newspapers sold millions. The trial became a show. But behind the show, a strange coincidence. The accusations appeared right when Flynn planned to terminate his contract with Warner Brothers. He wanted to open his own studio, independent. For the monopolies of the bad, 1,940 seconds. That was treason. And 2 months later, the charges. No solid evidence, only testimonies. But the public had already decided, guilty. 3 weeks of hearings. The girls cried. The prosecutor vowed to show the world the monster. Meanwhile, Warner secretly rewrote scripts to erase Flynn's name from upcoming projects. The 6th of February 1943, the jury reached a verdict. Not guilty. The crowd cheered. Flynn smiled, shook hands with the jurors. But behind the curtains, silence. Contracts vanished. Directors stopped calling. The same papers that once worshipped him now wrote dryly. Scandalously acquitted. And a week later, a new rumor, unofficial. Flynn is a Nazi spy. Yes, exactly that. The Hollywood Reporter hinted at suspicious connections between Flynn and an Australian diplomat linked to the Reich. No proof. But the public caught fire again. Years later, declassified FBI files revealed Flynn was under surveillance, not as a spy, but as a witness in a corruption case involving studio executives laundering money through offshore accounts. He knew too much, and too much knowledge in Hollywood is always fatal. He started drinking heavily, avoided cameras. On the set of Adventures of Don Juan, the director said, "He plays the seducer, but in his eyes only exhaustion. It's like he's still on trial, playing himself." Over time, his face grew heavier, his voice rougher, his hands trembling. Warner Brothers tried to bring him back for the old fans, but the audience had moved on. He became the symbol of ruined fame. In 1959, he was found dead in his Vancouver apartment, cause heart failure. He was 50. On the table, an empty bottle of rum and a script he planned to direct himself. On the cover, handwritten words. "A film about me, the one no one knows. If you face to stated face flest." Years later, researchers found an internal Warner Brothers report. In cold corporate type, it read, The Flynn incident was beneficial. We retained public attention and avoided congressional hearings on tax fraud, which meant the scandal had been a diversion. Flynn had been turned into a lightning rod, a bad guy to absorb the public's rage so the real villains, the studios, could stay clean. And that's the question that still haunts Hollywood. How many times has it used the same playbook? The guilty and the innocent merged into one script, where the villain is always the one who becomes inconvenient. Flynn wasn't the first, and he wasn't the last. But after him, the studios learned a golden rule. If you need the perfect enemy, just write him. Plot, accusations, victims, confessions. The audience will swallow it all as long as the ending looks good. Errol Flynn went down in history as a rogue, a sinner, and a hero. But behind that mask lay fear, humiliation, and loneliness. He saw Hollywood without its makeup, and he realized the most terrifying trial is not the one in the courtroom. It's the one that begins after the spotlights go out. If Roscoe Arbuckle was the first victim of morality, then Errol Flynn was the first victim of the spectacle. A world where every scandal is just another scene, and the script is written not by the actors, but by the system itself. February 1922. Los Angeles wakes under a pale morning fog. On the hills, villas of producers, white columns, guards at every gate. Everything looks peaceful until one man opens a door and sees a body. In bungalow number 404 on Alvarado Street, they find the corpse of William Desmond Taylor, director, producer, and one of Hollywood's moral beacons. Age: 49. A bullet in the back. His face calm. On the table, a glass of wine, an ashtray, an unfinished script. But the first odd thing wasn't the body. It was who arrived first. The police came 3 hours after the shot. By that time, Paramount's publicity men had already been inside. Not doctors, not detectives, publicists. They removed documents, letters, photographs. When detectives finally entered, the scene looked unnaturally clean, as if death itself had been arranged for the camera. The official story: robbery. But nothing was stolen. The body still had his gold watch, $78 in his pocket, and a gold ring. No sign of struggle. Then came the next mystery. Neighbors heard a gunshot around 8 p.m. 20 minutes later, they saw a woman leaving through the back garden. Light coat, wide-brimmed hat. She was never seen again. The newspapers exploded. Love triangle, cocaine, actresses, and jealousy. The name, Mary Miles Minter, a rising star from famous players Lasky, instantly filled the headlines. In her bedroom, police found a stack of letters addressed to Taylor. Romantic, naive, adolescent. She was barely 20. But the real storm broke when another name surfaced: her mother, Charlotte Shelby, a wealthy, powerful widow who controlled her daughter's career and despised Taylor. She believed he was corrupting the child. She owned a revolver of the same caliber as the bullet found in his body. But the case never went to trial. Shelby was never questioned. Her gun accidentally disappeared from the evidence locker. And within 2 weeks, the newspapers stopped writing about the murder. Why? Because William Desmond Taylor knew too much. He was about to testify in a federal case on drug trafficking in Hollywood. Yes, even in the 1,920 seconds. The film industry was drowning in cocaine and morphine. After actress Wallace Reed died from an overdose, producers feared a second scandal could destroy them. Taylor was the only one willing to speak. He had met with a federal agent the day before his death. The lead investigator later confessed, "I was told to stop. They said it wasn't murder, just an unfortunate coincidence." He never said who gave the order. Shortly after, he was transferred. The case was sealed for lack of evidence. And yet, fragments of truth survived. A photo from the police archive, Taylor's body turned slightly toward the camera. On his wrist, a Hamilton gold watch. 2 years later, the same watch appeared in a photograph of B.P. Schulberg, Paramount's vice president. When a journalist asked if it was the same one, Schulberg smiled and said, "A gift from a friend who's gone. No charges, no story, silence." A year later, Lois Weber, a reporter investigating the murder, died in a car crash. Her unfinished article disappeared from her desk. By the 1,930 seconds, the studios whispered. If Taylor hadn't spoken up, he'd have lived to be a producer, but he became the first man Hollywood buried itself. Today, his case is officially unsolved, but the FBI files remain partially sealed. Researchers say at least 3 men were involved: a journalist, a studio publicist, and a police officer, each receiving large payments from unnamed sources within a month of Taylor's death. And the question still lingers: who really killed William Desmond Taylor? There's no answer, only a pattern. After his murder, Hollywood created its first crisis management rule. If a scandal breaks, drown it with another one. That same month, a nationwide campaign began. Protect cinema from immorality. New headlines replaced murder with dress code for actresses. And the public forgot. Hollywood wiped the blood off its marble steps like makeup from an actor's face. It pretended nothing had happened. Decades later, in the 1,960 seconds, young historians reopened the case. In the archive, they found only a single note on studio letterhead. Taylor did not die in vain. His death saved dozens of lives and millions of dollars. No signature. And if you ask why this story isn't remembered anymore, the answer is simple. In Hollywood, there are no murders, only failed scripts. America, late 1,940 seconds. The war is over. The country celebrates victory. But Hollywood is trembling again. This time, the enemy is not outside. He lives among them in every writer, director, actor, and cameraman. And his name is fear. In 1947, the U.S. Congress created the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC. They summoned writers, actors, and directors to Washington. One question echoed through the hall. Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? Answer yes, and your career is over. Answer no, and it's over too, if someone else says otherwise. One accusation, one whisper, and you're finished. Thus was born the darkest phrase in entertainment history, the Hollywood blacklist. It never appeared in newspapers. It wasn't printed or signed, but everyone knew it existed. If your name was on it, phones stopped ringing, contracts dissolved, and your scripts vanished, as if they had never been written. The first to fall were 10 writers and directors, the Hollywood 10, Dalton Trumbo, Ring Lardner Jr., Alva Bessie, Herbert Biberman, Lester Cole, and others. They refused to testify. They said, "I don't have to explain my beliefs." For that sentence, they received a year in prison. Trumbo served his time and came out a ghost. He began writing under false names. He wrote dozens of masterpieces, including Roman Holiday and Spartacus, 2 Oscars, not one in his name. He existed only in secret, a phantom penning lines for men too afraid to admit they were reading him. But every ghost has a mirror, and that mirror showed the other side. Those who betrayed, actors, directors, producers, walking into hearings and saying, "Yes, I saw him reading Karl Marx. Yes, she spoke about peace." That's how they saved themselves. That's how they became stars. Fear became currency. One denunciation and you bought yourself another role. One accusation and your rival disappeared. In 1951, the committee called in Charlie Chaplin, the great comedian, the legend, now an enemy of the state. They accused him of anti-American propaganda and moral corruption. In quote, Dan. And when he sailed to London for the premiere of Limelight, the United States revoked his visa. He learned about it mid-ocean through the radio. "America doesn't want me anymore," he said later. Behind the scenes, the studios built internal security departments staffed with former FBI agents. They investigated who actors dined with, what books they read, even which words appeared in their scripts. Every phone was tapped, every letter opened. Los Angeles became a city of whispers. At parties, no one spoke loudly. No one discussed politics. Even the word peace became suspicious. Hollywood, the city of imagination, had turned into a city of silence. While some trembled, others thrived. Patriotic producers were rewarded for their loyalty. Magazines printed their smiling faces under headlines like, "Heroes who saved cinema from communism." Below the photo in fine print, a list of suspected names, people who no longer existed. Some took their own lives. Actress Jean Muir, erased from all credits. Screenwriter Paul Giambrico, suicide. Director Joseph Losey, exiled to France. Years later, Losey said, "Hollywood doesn't kill with bullets, it kills with silence." But the scariest part wasn't the list. It was the acceptance. No one resisted. The system had taught them to obey. Fear became normal. Even those untouched by it lived with the feeling that tomorrow, it could be them. By the mid-1950s, studios no longer needed official blacklists. Censorship was built into the bloodstream of the industry. An actor with a questionable past, a writer too smart, a director who argues with producers, they all quietly disappeared. No accusations, no trials, no trace. And the paradox? During those very years, Hollywood produced its most brilliant films about freedom, heroism, the right to choose. On-screen courage. Behind it, panic. In 1956, the blacklist was officially abolished. But only on paper. The real list never died. It simply changed its shape. Now, no one writes your name in a secret book. They just don't call you back. They don't fund your project. They don't reply to your email. No more denunciations, producers say. And yet hundreds of actors vanish from the industry after a single post online. History repeats itself only now. It leaves no paper trail. The red list has become invisible, rebranded as reputation risk. Hollywood still calls itself the Dream Factory. But for many, those dreams end with one call. "Sorry, the project's been canceled. We decided to go in another direction." The truth? They simply found someone safer, someone more obedient. That's how Hollywood turned fear into an art form and learned to sell censorship as patriotism. From that moment, its darkness became structural. It no longer needed to kill, only to forget. Hollywood loved to talk about morality, about purity, virtue, and the right kind of heroes. But behind the glass doors of studio offices, another faith ruled, and its god was control. Its priests were men whose names never appeared in the credits. They were called fixers, the cleaners. If an actress got pregnant, they decided. If a star hit someone with a car, they decided. If a director died at the wrong moment, they decided. The most infamous of them all was Eddie Mannix, vice president of MGM, the most powerful studio in America. His name never appeared on posters, but every tragedy passed through his hands. Outwardly, he was a gentleman, three-piece wool suits, polished shoes, a devout Catholic, a philanthropist. Inside, a man who could erase a life with one phone call. He knew everything. Who slept with whom, who drank, who fought, who paid for silence. And when a storm approached, he made it vanish. From the 1,930 seconds to the 1,950 seconds, Mannix turned MGM into the cleanest corporation in America on paper. Behind closed doors, it was hell. Actresses signed contracts that required them to be examples of virtue. Pregnant before marriage? Impossible. Mannix would send them on a health vacation. They disappeared for months, gave birth under fake names in the street. Monica Home for unwed mothers. The babies were adopted in secret. The actresses returned thinner after rest and smiled again on screen. Among them were dozens of silent and golden age stars, including Loretta Young, who gave birth to a child fathered by Clark Gable. The truth surfaced only 70 years later, after a DNA test proved it. 1,959. George Reeves, The first Superman from the TV series Adventures of Superman was found dead in his bedroom, a gun on the floor, a bullet through his temple. The police wrote, "Suicide." But neighbors heard 2 shots, and the gun had no fingerprints. Days before, Reeves had argued with his lover Tony Mannix, Eddie Mannix's wife. She told friends, crying, "Eddie will destroy him." A week later, the body. No investigation. Evidence vanished. Witnesses silenced. MGM released a statement. "Our dear friend was tired but happy. His death a tragic accident. Eddie Mannix outlived them all. He was never questioned." The FBI closed the file, insufficient evidence. Fixers worked ahead of time. They always knew where the next scandal would break. They had people in bars, hospitals, newspapers, even morgues. If there was a murder, the body disappeared before the police arrived. If compromising photos appeared, the photographer was paid, or the film simply vanished. In 1937, a young dancer named Patricia Douglas accused MGM executives of gang rape during a corporate party. She filed a lawsuit. Mannix personally oversaw the response. Newspapers were instructed never to print her name. Within months, the story was erased even from the archives. Douglas lost her job, her health, her voice. Her case was rediscovered 70 years later when a forgotten court transcript was found in a basement. Every Sunday, Mannix sat in the front pew of St. Vincent's Catholic Church. The priests knew who he was and blessed him anyway. He donated millions. He confessed, and he was forgiven. Because, as he liked to say, "I don't sin. I just protect the people who make the money." In his world, good and evil were measured not by commandments, but by box office numbers. If a film made profit, then God was clearly on their side. By the 1,960 seconds, Mannix was getting old. Television was breaking the old system. New actors, new scandals, new morals, and cameras everywhere. Secrets became harder to bury, but silence had become habit. Eddie Mannix died in 1963. In his will, he left his mansion to his wife, $1 million to the church, and nothing to MGM. 2 days after his funeral, his personal archive 42 folders was destroyed. Years later, one of his former assistants said in an interview, "Eddie knew where all the bodies were buried, literally and figuratively." After his death, the fixer system didn't disappear. It evolved. The new fixers wore suits from Prada, not trench coats. They worked in legal departments, PR firms, crisis agencies. Same tools, same rules. Pay and forget. One call and an article disappears. One check and a witness goes on vacation. Hollywood learned to clean itself faster than society could react. And maybe that's why, even today, we still don't know how many deaths, rapes, disappearances, and cover-ups have been labeled as accidents, heart attacks, or creative burnout. Mannix's favorite quote still echoes like a curse. "Purity is just well-drafted deception." They say Hollywood has changed. That the old times, with their dirt, murders, and censorship, are long gone. But listen closely. The sound is the same. Only now, it's cleaner, faster, more profitable. Scandals became marketing, destruction a PR strategy, and reputation cleansing a billion-dollar industry. It all began with one name, Harvey Weinstein, a titan, the producer behind Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, dozens of Oscar winners. For decades, he was Hollywood, until 2017. One article in the New York Times, and within days, the empire collapsed. More than 80 women accused him of harassment, assault, coercion. And suddenly, the whole industry acted shocked, pretending it didn't know. But it did. Everyone knew. Journalists, agents, actresses, bodyguards, directors, they all knew and stayed silent. In old Hollywood, silence was bought with cash. In new Hollywood, with roles, awards, and fame. And when the mask fell, the system revealed its true face. It hadn't disappeared. It had simply changed its name. Now it was called corporate ethics. professional conduct, or compliance. But inside, the same things: power, fear, silence. After Weinstein came an avalanche. Brett Ratner, Kevin Spacey, James Franco. Some were convicted, some vanished, some quietly returned with new publicists and a rehabilitated image. And every case followed the same pattern. Step 1, accusation. Step 2, shock, apology, press release. Step 3, disappearance. Step 4, rebirth. Each scandal became content, each confession a media event. The system stopped hiding filth. It learned how to monetize it. Now scandals drive ratings. Movies, actors, shows all gain millions of views because of the shadow that should have destroyed them. The audience gets angry and clicks. Algorithms count and profit. Morality became another entertainment genre. The fixers never left. They just changed uniforms. Now they're crisis managers in PR firms, not men with trench coats and pistols. They don't bury bodies, they delete posts. They don't buy silence, they draft NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. When, in 2021, the Armie Hammer case surfaced messages hinting at violence and cannibalistic fantasies, the first articles vanished from major media within a week. Official reason: unverified sources. A month later, his agency shut down for restructuring. The company's lawyers received a bonus for effective crisis management. In old Hollywood, they paid for silence. In new Hollywood, they pay for the right kind of noise. Number Me Too became a symbol of awakening. Thousands of women spoke out. Funds appeared. Committees, pledges, campaigns. But behind the banners grew a new market. The market of redemption. Actors hired emotional rehabilitation coaches. Producers joined accountability programs. Journalists got exclusives. The world moved on, and the real victims were left behind. Psychologists call it the aesthetics of repentance. The louder you apologize, the faster you're forgiven. Weinstein, sitting in prison, became not a warning, but an exception, a ritual sacrifice. A single monster needed by the system to look righteous. Just like Arbuckle, just like Flynn. One public execution so that others could keep smiling. Today, the judges are no longer producers or priests. They are algorithms. Google, Netflix, TikTok, the new studios, the new gods. Where old Hollywood controlled morality with PR, the new one does it with code. The wrong name disappears from search results. The wrong video gets restricted. A profile temporarily suspended. Cancel culture the same blacklist. Updated to version 3. No hearings, no informants. Just likes and dislikes. And once again, fear. Not of the committee this time, but of the crowd. Now Hollywood makes films about corruption, abuse, and hypocrisy. Movies that win Oscars. They show how the system breaks people made by the very people inside that system. The circle is complete. The system no longer fears exposure, it sells it. Even truth has become content. The ones who once buried bodies now produce documentaries about healing. The ones who covered up crimes now make TV shows about the power of confession. Darkness itself has become a genre. Look at the timeline. 1,921 Arbuckle, 1,922 Taylor, 1,943 Flynn, 1,950 The Blacklist, 1,960 Mannix, 2017 Weinstein. Different eras, different names, different technologies, but the same script. First, they create the hero. Then, they destroy him. Hollywood isn't a place, it's a mechanism. It feeds on the people it elevates. And the brighter the spotlight, the deeper the shadow behind it. When you watch that perfect smile on screen, remember, behind it stands an army of fixers, rewriting reality, deleting names, buying silence with contracts and hashtags. The system hasn't changed. It has simply stopped pretending to be ashamed. And if you think this is the end, you're wrong. Because every time a new star steps onto the red carpet, somewhere, a new folder opens with their name on it, just in case. The lights fade, the camera cuts, and in the silence behind the curtain, a whisper still echoes. Whatever you do, don't let them find out how it really happened.